Hello everyone, this is Ahmed again, um, coming in to you guys here today with a build. It's actually a recommissioned build from a previous drone that I had, a Bumblebee, as you can see. It's the DJI version here, where I have tiny motors, and I've basically gutted that Bumblebee, and we're going to build the um, iFlight XL5 Titan HD, which, in my opinion, is really one of the best frames you could buy out there for the DJI. One of the best 5-inch frames. That's for sure. And here are the new motors that I have replaced. They're 2207s XC. I'm going to leave everything down in the description below, everything linked for everything I've used, all the equipment, anything you see on camera, as well as what you need for this build, as in props, motors, boards, ESCs, be it flight controllers, anything you really need here. Now, as I've done before in my other build videos, this is an entire recording in 4K of this build. I will not remove or cut any part of this build in case that does help, because I know a ton of tutorials online, miss out and skip over things, either by speeding up the video or just not really noting it much. So this is a chance for you to follow this build with me. Feel free to play your favorite music in the background. I'm going to try and not have music on this, and I'll just jump in with my voice to try and explain certain things that I think need to be noted. So with that said, let's begin. Oh, and I want to mention, guys, that this entire video is chaptered, so you can see down below exactly what's going on, and you can jump ahead or skip ahead or go back to specific stages and parts that you want to figure out how to do. Now, again, you might miss some quick comments and such if you do that, so I would recommend that you play this video along with your build. All the things that you need and want are in the description below. I'm separating it to needs as in items that you necessarily need to complete this build, and wants as in items that will make this build easier or make your life a little bit less hell. Now, there is one thing that I also want to mention since we're on the topic here. There are some screws that I don't show being put in at the moment, like there are these plastic skid plates that you place under the motors. So obviously those aren't screwed in. A few couple screws here and there in the top side and the bottom side of the frame. If you see the video and you continue, you'll see that I finally do put them in place. But since right now we're putting all the screws in, I just want to make note that, yeah, you probably want to add those in. All right, guys. So here, now that we have everything laid out, you'll see that I'm starting to get the frame parts out here, and I just want to show you guys just how sturdy, how thick this frame is, and this is one of the reasons that I chose it. One of the main reasons. I can't really remember here off the top of my head how many millimeters that is, but look at the thickness of these 3D prints. Dude, these arms are thick. Um, there's a few C's on that. Um, it's really it's very very sturdy, and the way it locks is really great. Um, the arms locked together. It's I really think this is a very good carbon fiber build. Very good thickness. The camera mounts aren't that crazy good. I mean, they work, they're reliable. The camera definitely doesn't lop um, in there, but yeah, that is what I wanted to say here. You'll see that I've dumped everything, all the screws and little pieces down. You want to start organizing these if you have a tray like the one that I've recommended down below in the description, magnetic tray like this. It's great now to take the time to organize things, to know which screws or which the sizes as you're following the printout, which comes in the box. If not, you can always um, pause the video at where that instruction depiction is. You want to make sure that you know where the 4 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 6 millimeter length screws are. Separate them. This is going to ease your build in the future, your process. So totally recommend doing that. Take the time now to do that. So here I'm trying to figure out how these pieces fit together. Which is the bottom piece, which is the top piece, where do things go? And I'm consulting the instruction page that came in the box with it. It's right in front of me here, and yeah, just follow through, and you'll see exactly how I figure it out, how I start building it, and I do believe that I make a mistake here. There is a step that I sort of screw up. So um, as I'm pointing here, that is one identifying point that you can look at the drawing and be like, oh, okay, that's the front side, that's the back side. But yeah, I will jump in with audio here to make sure that I, point out any mistake that I do for you to not have to go through that. Um, this is the full video of the build, so if there is a mistake, I go through it and then I fix it. So if there is something that I can jump in with audio and tell you to skip over, I will. So right about here is where I start putting these screws in the wrong hole. This screw that goes, um, into the back plate and then into one of the arms. Obviously, you'll do this 4 times. It doesn't really go into that hole that I'm showing at the moment right now. That is not the right one. I'm going to cut in here a piece of the video up ahead of the actual correct hole that screw needs to go into, and the next screw as well, those 2 screws. So uh, that is the correct placement, yes. Okay, so here I'm switching to the Insta360 angle of this build that I have. This is just the point in time where I am fitting the guts of the previous drone that I had into this drone. Now, it's very simple. It's basically starting from scratch. So if you are starting from scratch, which you probably are, you can still follow through just the same. I know the lighting isn't perfect here, but this isn't for long. I promise. This is a closer up angle of what's going on. So I'm basically just going to put in the DJI system in its place, and then the ESC in its place. I'm redoing the motors. So as you can see, I've just unplugged the antennas from the DJI system. We're going to put the DJI system in place. The ESC is going to be put in place. Now, the flight controller is still out of the picture. We're going to take that out of the picture because we still want to fit the new motors into the frame and then start soldering those motor wires into the ESC, as you can see. The only part that I will keep and that you will need to do if you're doing this build afresh is the capacitor and the battery leads. You see those two at the back end of the ESC. Those for me are already soldered there. You're probably going to want to do those yourself. That's it's simple. It's 2 points that you're soldering. The capacitor, the longer side of the capacitor, I believe, is the positive side, and the shorter leg of the capacitor is the negative side. You want to follow those as the positive and negative. On the ESC, there's a sign there typically. Also, the red is positive and the black is negative for the leads, the battery leads. So doing that, fit that onto the frame, and I also have a buzzer there. If you do want to follow through on how to connect the buzzer, you could go back to my Bumblebee video where this exact same buzzer I showed how I soldered and how I connected. Or you can, YouTube, but there's a ton of videos on how to connect a buzzer to your ESC, to your build. All right, so as you can see here, I've laid out the 4 motors, and as I referred to earlier, these green covers at the end, they're skid plates. Just, if you ever land on something while you're flying, you can skid over these plastic sheets, covers, and protect your frame a little bit. So I didn't connect these. I didn't show how you are screwing in these and the motors in the beginning, and that's because you want to put these plastic feet, these plastic covers, skid plates in, and then have the motor screws go all the way in through them and then into the motor. Now, you'll see that all these motor screws that came in are a little too short for my liking. With the skid plates in place, these screws are a little too short. So thankfully, I do have some screws on the side here that will fit. They're a little longer, same width. They're a little longer. They'll just go through the skid plates as well as give a decent amount of length into the motor. Now you want to make sure that you're not also choosing a much longer motor screw. If you don't have any other screws, by the way, this is totally fine. You don't need these skid plates. Take them off. They're just extra. They make sure that your carbon frame, your arms on the carbon arms don't really get scratched up. So yeah, if you don't have any other screws, just use the screws that come with the motor. Just make sure you don't have those skid plates in place. If you are choosing another screw, like I was saying, do not choose a much longer screw. You do not want to drive the screw into the motor while you're screwing it. So you would literally screw up your motors, no pun intended. So yes, be very mindful and be very careful of that. Now we're gonna put these skid plates and the motors all in place. We're gonna screw them in. And once we have all our 4 motors screwed in, make sure that you have the screws tight, that the motors are stable there. They're going to be doing all the lifting. And yeah, I will tag in again once we have all the motors screwed in. All right, so I just skipped ahead to the point where the motors are all screwed in as advised. These are just plastic sheaths, covers that are also provided in the box where you can have the motor wires go through there for for tidiness sake, for it to be tidy, for safety, to make sure you don't cut these wires or score them when you're flying next to a tree or something sharp. Um, right. So this is the top-down view of the ESC fitted into place. The flight controller is still out of the picture at the moment. We have the 4 motors screwed in, and I'm sneaking these wires into the plastic sheaths and bringing it into the ESC area. As you can see, also the capacitor connected to the ESC is also soldered and shown there. The DJI system is also fitted there in the back, which you don't have to do for this step, but as I'm going with things, if you want to follow me, that's how I did it. Now these motor wires are going to have to be trimmed down, and this is why I'm laying them down in the exact same path they're going to be. I'm going to peel these stickers under the plastic sheets, 3M stickers, and a double-sided tape, and I'm going to put them in place. And I really want to see exactly how the final look of these motor wires is going to be for me to wrap them around one of the 4 screws or posts for the ESC. Each motor will wrap around, and you want to cut the motor wires to exactly the length that you need. I mean, you're going to give a little bit extra at the cut right here because you don't want to do this cut wrong. You're going to do a little bit extra because that's how much you're also going to need to shave off the plastic, that's the rubber that's going around these wires. You're going to want to bare the tip of the wires. That's sort of what I'm trying to say here. You're going to bare the wire for you to be able to, yes, and totally sponsored by Red Bull here, I gotta say. Not sponsored by Red Bull, but I love Red Bull. If you're doing this build and you have some Red Bull, you're following me in on this, please grab some Red Bull from the fridge. That would be great. Anyways, as I was saying, we're bearing the wires, the motor wires, to the 3 points that they're going to connect to. 3 wires. We're going to solder them to 3 points on the ESC. So you want to put the wires in exactly the final shape that they're going to be, and then you're going to pull, measure, cut a little bit ahead of the wire. Give yourself some room to not screw this up, and yeah, the soldering begins. So good luck. Right, so quick soldering tips here. We have the motor wires cut to length. We are soldering the 3 motor wires, so there's 3 points. Now make sure that however you're connecting these 3 motor wires to the 3 points on the ESC, that it's consistent all the way around all 4 motors. That'll make it easier in beta flight after this build is complete, when you're programming it and making sure that the ESC is aware of how these motors are connected, that they're all connected in the same way. You can reverse the polarity in beta flight, basically reverse how the motors are rotating, reverse their positives and negatives. But just as long as they're all connected in the same way, it'll make some coherent sense. Now, again, soldering tips, you want to do something called pre-tinning, which is, get some tin, melt some of it onto the motor wire ends, the bared out ends, as well as the points on the ESC. As long as you melt some here and there, that's called pre-tinned. Both sides are, have tin on them. All you got to do is you bring them close together, as you can see, and then, you touch the soldering iron onto the point on the ESC to melt the little bit of tin that's already there. It makes a puddle, bring in the motor wire lead, and it has tin on it. The moment they touch, they all melt together, and there you go. You've got that soldered. Now we want to do that all the way around, all the way through. I'm trying to show different angles here. I have the Insta360 set up to get you guys a close-up, a better close-up angle. Thank God the lighting is better this time around. I hope this helps. Okay, so I skipped ahead here a little bit. Really, all I did was plug in the FC, the flight controller. These antennas, I just, I was trying to figure out how to get these in. I'm gonna try and undo a lot of this just to show you what I did. Again, this is still the same DJI camera. I just have that going under the FC. I plugged in the little bit of piece of cable that goes in from the ESC to the flight controller, as you can see right there. Um, Also the GPS cable, and here the flight controller to the ESC. Right, so I've connected, sorry, the DJI to the FC, and then the FC, the flight controller to the ESC, the electronic speed controller. Right, that's basically all I did here. I'm trying to show you guys just to catch up. Also the GPS, so I've soldered the GPS onto the flight controller. If you want a video of that, I will leave that in the video description below. I have a whole video of soldering the GPS onto this same flight controller and setting it up on Betaflight as well. So yeah, that's really all I did. Now it's looking a little bit more complete. Um, Okay, so here I went ahead again and took off the that last plastic piece there and the GPS connected to it. Um, I'm trying to figure out how this piece fits and then how, the top of the frame fits and all that fits in together. So that hopefully also helps show how I did place the antennas and this black piece in. I decided to take out the antenna extensions, so I'm going to leave that out of the description because I don't think it's necessary right here. I just plugged in the antennas to the DJI unit straight in through the plastic piece. So as you can see here, I'll take that GPS connection out to the GPS chip, the GPS module, and I'll have that plastic piece. I'll feed in the antennas through that black plastic piece straight into the DJI air unit. As I struggle with the GPS module connector here, I don't know why they make it um, this crazy good of a connector. I guess, I mean, you don't want your GPS to drop out while you're flying. That wouldn't be great. So here we're almost done. I'm trying to figure out how to finalize this last piece, how to put the top piece of the frame in I'm getting some trouble because my buzzer is a little bit too thick. As you please pardon my head right around here. Uh, the buzzer is a little bit too thick to fit under that top frame and to have that frame still screw in. As for the camera here, it was a little, not gonna lie, it was a little tricky to set up the camera. There are two holes on either side of the posts that are given to host the camera. All I did was I had the two DJI screws that go side by side into the camera. I tried to screw those in from those holes. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day if those screws are already in your camera, as long as you can just situate the camera in. The screw heads will hold it in place. It will be able to rotate and move a little bit, but really while you're flying and everything's in there, it doesn't shake at all. I can make sure. I can attest to that. I can vouch for that. So yeah, just make sure that the camera is in the two holes that you want it to be on whichever angle you'd like it to be. You could put it, more flush straight with the body or a little tilted up, which it's advisable to have it a little tilted up since you're probably going to be tilted upwards, or the drone's going to be tilted downwards when you're moving forwards. Anyways, here one thing that I did not note, and it's not very obvious is. And I think I didn't do it until much later. The battery leads should come out of that hole. You see that hole right in between that black plastic piece all the way at the bottom, at the end of the frame. There's a hole sticking upwards, straight upwards. The battery leads should go up through there. So it'll be before the antennas and that GPS cable that's hanging, and between those two screws, the last two screws on the frame. That battery lead, the battery leads should come out of there. The way I had it here, again, I was thinking, you're going to put the propellers on, it's going to rotate, it's obviously going to cut those leads. I was focused on some other things. When I came to fly, I realized that was something I totally overlooked. So please don't do that. I'm trying to note it here for you guys. Guys, so it's about time to hopefully not fry your build. It's about time to bring in your battery, to plug it in, to make sure that everything's going straight. As you can see here, I'm holding a smoke stopper. And I plug in the smoke stopper in between the battery and the drone. You saw that bulb there for a second. So that smoke stopper, Joshua Bardwell, has a really cool video explaining why you need it and how to build one. Just a quick gist of it is smoke stopper, right? It stops smoke. It doesn't smoke stops, it stops smoke. And that's very essential. You don't want to fry your build. If something is, short circuiting or something's going on wrong, that smoke stopper, which is a car light bulb put in series in between the battery and the drone and the frame here, will light up. It will absorb a ton of that current instead of, blowing up your ESC or your flight controller or somewhat. So again, link in the description below for the smoke stopper for the video from Joshua Bardwell on how to make your own. Okay. All right. Let's bring in the Matthew McConaughey references here. Let's bring in the propellers. You want 2 of one orientation and 2 of the other. Typically, that's how they come. If you order, a set, there'll be 2 clockwise rotating propellers and 2 counterclockwise rotating propellers. And it's very easy to tell how that propeller rotates by just where the leading edge is. So you see it almost looks like a knife. Yeah, so that leading edge is going to rotate counterclockwise, right? It's going to rotate left. So you know that propeller is a counterclockwise propeller. I wouldn't necessarily follow how I put my propellers here on this build, because when I was trying to fly it, I feel like I screwed it up. So again, I'm trying to be as loud as possible here and as obvious. I'm going to leave a video in the description on how to place your propellers, what orientation they need to be, because I think that this might be wrong. And I'll keep a caption on the screen through this entire time that the propellers are on screen, in case somebody just comes into this video and jumps into a point where, they see this. I'll put a disclaimer in, don't follow this orientation. There's a video down below on how to properly put your propellers. I might also just leave a correct image. Yes, I feel like I'd rather do that. I will leave a correct image of how these propellers are supposed to look on screen. So as you can see, I was just lightly screwing in all these propeller screws. These screws it's very important for you to be tightening them as well as possible. Remember, all the lift is being created right on that screw head. So here's the tool. It's called a prop screwdriver or something like that. It also holds motors. Again, it's in the description below. You definitely need this item. In the description below, I am showing the items that you need and the items that you might want for this build. So the need would be necessary, absolutely necessary to accomplish this build. The want would be things that would make it a little bit easier.